Definitely 1 minute, just exactly 1 minute past 3 p.m. right here on Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, where we tell the story of an African farmer in the best way possible, and we are always about three things, that is connect, learn, and grow. And I hope you're having an amazing chilly Thursday, being the 9th day of September 2021. And you know, when it's Thursday, it's all about agribusiness. And definitely today we'll be having a very interesting conversation about successful risk strategies that you need to know as you continue doing your business in terms of the agribusiness side. And so details of that and much more will be coming your way in a few. But also remember, we have an interesting segment that is the pan of the day as we wind up the show. And definitely Watu Mombasa Road and all other roads, main roads in the CBD, will be giving you the traffic updates towards the tail end of the show. You can connect with us on all our social media platforms at Our Farmers on Facebook, at Farmers on Twitter, and definitely Our Farmers Media on our YouTube page. We are live on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube page. Straight to the COVID updates worldwide, and the positive cases that have been reported as of today, that is the 9th of September, are currently standing at 223,441,854, and the death toll is 4.6 million, and the recoveries currently are at 199,954,950 lives of people who have recovered from this COVID-19. And so straight to the vaccines, as according to the Ministry of Health that released the numbers as of yesterday, that's the 8th of September 2021, they have received a total of 146,780 doses, and the total, or the first, to start with, the first batch, or the first people to receive the first dose, are 2,057,080 people, or doses that have been administered, or those who have been administered the first dose. For the second dose, only the first dose is 2,117,075 people have received the first dose, and the second dose only 817,210. And you can see an improvement, a great improvement of close to 60,000 people who have received the first dose in the last 24 hours, and a close of around 4,000 people have received the second dose in the last 24 hours. So that's a very, very good improvement. So if you're out there, you have not received this vaccine, it's very good for you to receive. Remember, it's free on all health facilities in the country, and it is reducing the spread of this virus by around 95%. So if you're out there, and the adults who have been vaccinated are around 3.0%, and so adults, we are not really doing well in terms of vaccination. So don't worry, it's reducing the spread of this vaccine by 95%. So if you're out there, you can try this, and it has been tried and tested, and it's doing the right job. All right? And so, being an Agri-Thursday, or an Agribusiness Thursday, we're talking about successful risk management in agribusiness, how we need to manage risks successfully when it comes to agribusiness. And one thing that is important to note is that risk is very, very important. Risk in general in any industry is very important, is a very important aspect when especially when it comes to farming business. And the uncertainties that are inherent, we have weather, yields, prices, government policies, global markets, and other factors that impact farming, actually impact farming, and can cause wide swings in terms of farm income. And also, risk management involves choosing among alternatives. There are very many alternatives that you can choose from depending on your risk, and that actually reduce financial effects, and that can result from such uncertainties. And talking about uncertainties, we have seen it's weather, yields, government policies, global markets, and other impacts we're talking about that are you can't really manage by yourself. And so before we get to that part, it's just good to introduce that what we are going to be talking about in today's show. But as we continue, as we progress, that it's good to remember that the AGRF 2021 summit is still ongoing, and today being day 3 of the summit, the conversation today was all about healthy people and a healthy planet. That is having healthy people and a healthy planet. And today they had actually a very interesting conversation in the morning, where it was graced by His Excellency the President, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, was one of the keynote speakers, and him being the President of the Republic, he's also the patron of the 4K Club, and he was introduced by the Cabinet Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, that is Honorable Peter Munya, and also in attendance was the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and also who is the chairman of the AGRF partner group, that is Haile Mariam Desalegn, who is also, as I've said, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia. He is currently the chairperson of AGRF. He's the one who actually was introducing or brought up the opening remarks. Also present was some of the 4K club presentation, that is the founder of the G Star Youth Group. We also had the Ministry of Youth in Rwanda also present. Also we had the Minister for Food and Agriculture in Ghana also present, that is physically. We also had the youth in agriculture representative from across the continent, that is Nigeria, Ghana, and part of Cameroon, and all these amazing countries in the continent. So you can continue to stream this conversation. It's ongoing. Remember, you can join in or register to be part of this summit via www.agrf.org or .org. Be part of this conversation. Register on that website, or you can just go to their social media platforms, register there, and tomorrow being the last day of this summit, at least you can grab something, and you can be part of those people who will be transformed. Remember, they are looking for 10 million young people to actually transform or change their perspective on how they look at the agriculture in general, and bring more of the young people to do agriculture or be in the agri-business sector. So be part of that conversation, and it will be of help, especially if you're a new farmer or an experienced farmer and you have so many problems, or in terms of you don't know how this will impact you. Just get there, get to www.agrf.org, be part of that summit. Just listen in. You don't have to contribute. Just listen in to the nuggets of wisdom that these speakers or the people who will be gracing this summit will be having for you. Remember, there are over 2,000 delegates, 200 keynote speakers, and more than 8 head of states that are gracing this amazing summit. That is the AGRF 2021 summit. Remember, it's physically being held in Kenya, that is Nairobi, but you can join in globally in any part of this world or any part of this globe that you are in. So be part of that amazing conversation. And so back to our agribusiness conversation today, and talking about risks that are there in agribusiness. Remember, risks or any risk, there are risks in any kind of business or any kind of industry. There must be risks. And now today we are going to narrow down into the agribusiness, the sector of agribusiness, and there are 5 general types of risk. And this is general. It's not just in agriculture, but when you're going to be breaking down, you're going to be breaking down in terms of agribusiness sector. And 1, we have what we call production risk. All right. 2, we have price and or market risk. 3, we have financial risk. 4, institutional risk. And 5, we have human or personal risk, or what you call human resource kind of a risk. And so the first one being production risk, this is more of it derives from the uncertain natural growth processes of a crop and livestock. And we have unnatural calamities such as weather, diseases, pests, and other factors that affect the both quality and the quantity of commodities produced. Coming from the word production, you just know it's all about what is being produced or what you get from your farm. And some of, as we have said, this is more of the calamities. We can know some of the sources of crop production. Remember, there's crop production and there's a livestock production risk. Crop production risk and livestock production risk. And the sources of this risk, 1, for crop production is weather. And as of yesterday, we'll be giving that news of when we come to the weather updates. We are headed towards not so good kind of weather. We'll be having more of drought in the country as announced by the president yesterday. And so this is one of the calamities. We have drought, floods, and any calamities that come with the weather being unfavorable to other people and being favorable to other people, to the rest of the people. So mostly when we talk about weather being a risk, it's when it's not favorable to you, when you've prepared everything in your farm, but now you actually experiencing either drought or famine. So that's one source of this risk, or what we call the crop production risk, that is weather. 2, insect damage and weed competition. And when we talk about insect damage, and here in the country, late last year, early this year, we had the locust invasion in the country, and this actually this was more of a crop production risk. Remember, this locust was invading anything that is green in the country. Started coming, I think, from Ethiopia down, and started from the north part of this country all the way to the south part of this country, and that was one of the sources of the crop production risk, that is the locust invasion that we had late last year, early this year, late 2020, early 2021. We had this insect, actually it's late 2019, early 2020, right? Just before COVID hit last year. That's when we had the locust invasion in the country, and we saw what damage can cause within few hours. And so the third source of crop production risk goes to diseases. Diseases is another part, as we have said, it's natural calamities. All right, we have the pandemic, can affect human beings. When we have an outbreak of diseases, of crop diseases, this is what we can term as a natural calamity or natural cause, and goes all the way being part of the source of crop production risk. The other one, we have interaction with new technology. When you don't know how to interact with new technology or use new technology when it comes to the quantity, what kind of quantity you want. Probably you actually measuring a certain crop by using 1 kg, 500 grams, 2 kg, and you don't know how to use this technology, and it's at the end, when you take your crop or your product to the market, it's either underweight or overweight, right? Underweight inaumiza watu the customers. Overweight for you, when you trying to calculate your profits, they are not adding up, because in terms of as you're packing your 1 kg, you packed 1.5 kg. So you can imagine when you have 10 bags, and each you have exceeded the weight by, or how it's supposed to weigh by 500 grams each. That's 500 grams times 10 bags. That's almost a loss of 5 kgs. That's a lot of quantity that you have lost there. So those are some of the sources of crop production risk that you can have. When it comes to livestock production risk, it's more of the same. Whether, as you've said, either when there is famine or there is a drought, can be a very, very big source of livestock production risk. And also the environment goes hand in hand with being part of the source of livestock production. The other thing is also diseases effect in producing diseases that affect the livestock. We all know every kind of livestock that you have has a different kind of diseases that may attack them. So that is one of the natural calamities, or one of the sources of livestock production risk that you may be having around you as a farmer. And definitely you're asking yourself, what kind of tools am I supposed to be having? Remember, we are talking about these tools being multi-purpose, can serve so many things, can serve crop production risk, can also serve at the same time serve livestock production risk, assuming that almost the effects are the same. And one, we have growing different crops. This can reduce your crop production. All right, the crop production risk. Probably the problems are so many. As we said, we have been we've been talking about making sure that you're doing crop rotation in your farm. So when you try different crops, you may reduce the production risk by a big margin when you try to do different crops in your farm. If you're doing potatoes this time, you can try and do onions. If you're doing onions, you can try and do tomatoes. Just try a different crop and this will be part of what we call reducing, or tools that will reduce production risks. 2, try combination of crop and livestock. This is what we call taking calculated risks. If probably the problems are almost the same, then curbing these problems might also need the same approach. So you can try the combination of crop and livestock in one particular area, but just make sure that you have that boundary in place. But you can combine that, making sure that they help in each other. There's an advantage from a certain waste. If it's the crops, they're having an advantage from the waste of livestock, and you can continue with that cycle. But trying that combination may actually be a tool of reducing the production risk by a far. Also, the third tool that you can use is identifying different ends. Actually, it's growing different types of same crop, right? For example, if you're doing tomatoes, you can try, it's the same crop, tomatoes, but also you can try something like red tomatoes and yellow tomatoes, right? So growing different types of crop of a different type of the same crop can actually help you. And I've given a very good example with tomatoes. If you're doing tomatoes and you started with the red tomatoes, why don't you do with the yellow tomatoes? Can be a very, very good a way to actually help you to curb or be part of the tools that can actually reduce production risk for you. All right. So the second type of risk that you're talking about is price or market risk. Right, and this refers to uncertainty about the prices producers will receive for commodities, on the prices they must pay for inputs. The nature of price risk varies significantly from commodity to commodity, and this one I know this point anyone who is doing potato farming can fully understand and can relate to this. But before we come to that, some of the other tools that you can use for production risk before we get to the price and marketing. Also, have you tried something that we call crop insurance, or have you ever heard of crop insurance? And this probably could have helped anyone who was affected by the invasion of locust, or what they call nzige. You know, if you consider using crop insurance as a tool to transfer your yields or price to risk others, if you use this to actually curb the production risk for yourself or for your farm, can really work. And this crop insurance just works the same way as what you have car insurances, medical insurances. It's the same type of covering, right? Because when you do this, the greater the coverage, the greater the premium. When you insure your car from accidents or fire, or when you insure your house from fire, from floods, from all these things that can cause what we can quote unquote call natural calamities, remember, they can cover you. And if you cover you cover from all these things, probably floods, especially kama uko na gari na unaishi Budalangi, probably you've covered your car from floods, a fire, accidents, or all this. It just depends on how you've covered your car. You can imagine if the greater the coverage of this vehicle of yours, the greater the premium. The probability of you being paid by the insurance is actually higher when you have a greater coverage. So it's the same. So you can check out some of the crop insurances agencies that are there online, and just work with what works for you. And so before you actually get to, as you're doing your research, it's good that I help you as you're doing your research. Some of the questions that you should be asking yourself are, what are the costs, right? What is the cost that I'm going to incur as I do my crop insurance? And the other one is, which type offers the best protection? This is when you're doing your research, when you're getting to know or getting to pick the best crop insurance for yourself. And that we talked about the cost, the best protection, what kind of protection are they giving us, how much coverage do you need for adequate cash flow. All these are the questions that you're supposed to be asking yourself as you research for the best coverage or crop insurance for your crops in the farm. And so as you're doing all that, it's good to understand, or it's good actually to do research the same way you got hold of your car insurance or your medical insurance. You did a lot of research before you actually settled for one. It's the same thing you're supposed to be doing when it comes to taking a look at the crop insurance agencies that are there. Probably others are the same as the insurance that you're using for your car or for your machinery that you have around. So you can check out from their websites. We won't name them because we don't have any partnership with them at the moment, but you can just check them out online and get to know what actually works for you. And if it works for you, the better. All right. And so second type of risk we're talking about, that is a market risk, or what we call the price risk. And this one actually involves price and market uncertainties, inputs, cost, and outside forces. And probably you're asking yourself, what are these you're calling the outside forces? All right. And so the outside forces that affect price and marketing risk are one, same thing, floods and farming, weather. That goes all the way to weather. Actions from foreign governments. When the foreign governments actually interfere with your government, this is what we can call the outside forces. When they come with so many regulations and come in to interfere with what you have as a government, that can actually be part of what we call the outside forces and can affect marketing and actually the pricing of your commodities. The other one, you have regulations either by the local government or, as we have said, the foreign government, and also trade tariffs. This can affect you locally, regionally, and also across the globe for those who are actually doing exportation. So these are some of this is what is involved in the outside forces, whether actions or interferences from foreign governments, regulations, and also trade tariffs. So when you come back after this short break, we'll be tackling how, personal considerations for handling marketing risks. You will be talking about risk comfort levels, developing a market plan. All these things are involved in, or they are part of the tools that you can use when you are tackling or curbing the price or market risk that you have in your business, in your agribusiness. So remember, this is Agribusiness, where we tackle anything agribusiness. And today we have settled for the risk or successful risk management strategies that you need to have in place as you continue doing or getting to engage with any of the agribusiness that we have across the country. We'll be right back after this short break. 28 minutes to 4 p.m. right here on our A-Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, and definitely where we are always about three things, that is connect, learn, and grow. And just to start off with the announcement from the Kenya Met Department, and they have said that rainfall is expected to continue over the highlands west of the Rift Valley and highlands west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, and the Central Rift Valley. The rest of the country is likely to generally dry, to experience dry, to have a generally dry season. Through occasional rainfall is expected over some parts of the highlands east of the Rift Valley. And also a tweet from Kenya Met also in conjunction with what the president announced yesterday, that they have said that most areas in Kenya could receive depressed rainfall in the coming October, November, December season. That's when we have the short rains. So remember, if you are depending on the rainfall in these coming months, that is October, November, December, it might be a rough path for you. So make sure that you have other alternative measures to countermeasure this depressing rainfall that is going to be experienced in October, November, and December. So if you are depending on the short rains that we actually get on in this around this time, this time probably might be a bit disappointing for you. So make sure that you have prepared yourself adequately for this depressing rainfall that is expected from the month of October all through to December this year. And so back to our topic today, talking about risk management or successful risk management strategies that you're supposed to be having as someone who has actually invested in agribusiness. Doesn't matter any kind of business that you're in, as long as it's agribusiness, some of the skills that you're supposed to be having, or some of the tools that you're supposed to be having in mind and also on hand to curb some of these risks that you actually get from agribusiness. And before we went on a short break, I just teased you a bit about some tools that you may be using when it comes to marketing risk. And remember, marketing risk, we talked about this can be affected from just involves price and market uncertainty. When the prices in the market are just not stable at all, that can make you get into the marketing risk category. And also input cost and also outside forces. And the outside forces we talked about being weather, interference from the foreign governments, regulations from local and foreign governments, and also trade tariffs across the country, across the region, and definitely in your local area. And this actually has affected right now is actually affecting the potato farmers that are there currently in the country. They're going through this rough patch of the marketing risk. But don't worry, these are some of the tools that you can use if you're having or you're going through that rough patch. And that is one. Personal considerations for handling marketing risk includes the following. Know your risk comfort level for the potato farming. This goes to you. We're just using you as an example. Do you know the risk comfort level that you are in? Especially right now, the prices for your products or for your commodities are not impressive, are not actually in line with what you'll expect. They are more than almost triple. It's a loss of almost a triple loss, we may call it so. And also the second thing that you can do is improve your current marketing skills and learn new skills. What kind of skills do you have when it comes to marketing? Are you just a producer of these products or these commodities, or do you know how to market? Have you gone that extra mile to know how I can market my products? Or you just know how to be a good farmer, to know how to take care of your crops, your products, and the yields in the farm? But when it gets to marketing, you have no skills. Or if you have skills, what kind of skills do you have? Are they just the basic skills, or you are ready to enhance or learn new skills when it comes to marketing? So where are you at when it comes to marketing? So it's good to improve. Whether you have, it's good actually to improve the marketing skills if you have any. It's never too late to learn, and there's even if they say there's nothing new under this sun, it's good to actually improve. Every time you'll get a new challenge, every time you climb this ladder of life. So if you have the marketing skills right now, do you keep on improving those skills? Because remember, the market keeps on changing, and it's never the same. It's never the same, always changing. So you need to be at par with how the market looks like currently. Also, develop an integrated management approach. How do you actually manage your products before they get to the market or when they're actually in the market? So it's good to have an integrated management approach when you're doing your business or when you're interacting with these things. And the only way you can get this integrated management approach is when you improve your marketing skills. So that is very key. The fourth thing to do is have a market plan. And this we talked about last week. Have that market plan. Know your target audience. Know who am I. This is my target market. These are the people that I'm targeting to actually get my product or consume my product. So what kind of a market plan do you have? Yesterday we were talking about digital strategies. We had a social media expert in studio yesterday, and she talked about having a plan, and a plan goes through all the way. I know we started talking about the farm plan. It goes all through. For the farm plan is to make sure that you have the best quality when it comes to yields. But now, when you have a marketing plan, helps you to actually get yourself to have the skills and have a goal at the end. When you have the farm plan, you get better yields or quality yields, high quality yields. When you have a market plan, you get to understand your market or your audience or your consumers, and at the end of it all, that's how you'll get your profits. So it's very, very good to have a market plan or marketing planning for yourself as someone who has actually dived or is actually doing agribusiness. The other way you can reduce ways you can use to handle marketing risk is reduce risk by avoiding high risk ventures. If you're not ready to take up this risk, remember, more so of probably this high risk ventures is a calculated risk. They know it might work, it might not work. If you're not ready to gamble with these high risk ventures, then don't. Sio lazima. So to reduce marketing risk, because at times you'll get through with the peer pressure. Someone is telling you here there's a lot of profits, you can make a lot of money, because everyone is driven by when you just these high risk ventures, you can be driven by just one word: money. There's good money. When someone uses quote unquote good money, you might tend to not even think twice about it and get yourself and venture into this high risk type of business or agribusiness, and you have no market plan. You have not planned yourself well. Everything that you had invested from other products that you have or other produce that you had in your farm, you get into this high risk kind of agribusiness, and at the end of it all, it will not be working for you because it's not cut for you, or you are not ready for it, or you never even understood the market that is there for this high risk kind of agribusiness. So if you're not ready or you cannot handle that, then don't even try to venture into this kind of high risk agribusiness. The other way is shift risk to others. Make sure the risk is not playing along you. All right? It's kind of more of unfair, but it's good for you. Making sure that the risk also is not the impact is not going. It's not coming on you so hard. It's having like more of a soft landing on you, but you can spread across other people. You understand? The other one is make sure that you maintain flexibility. Make sure that you're flexible. Don't be rigid. We'll just talk about that in this show, making sure that you're not rigid. Just be flexible. Anything can go. Anything can come, making sure that this market can, we talked about prices varying from one time to another. when it's raining, when we're having famine. Just be flexible. Don't be that person who is rigid. You cannot change. If you're doing this kind of crop, you cannot change. If this is your market, you're always your biggest market, or what you target most is your local people, the people around your area. Don't be rigid. That's the only place that you can target the market. Try, do some calculated risk and try and get out of that zone of use or that area of use, and try and tackle or try and get market from your constituency. Go as far as wide as the county, and who knows, you can be targeting the whole country, or probably the region by itself, probably East African region or Eastern African region as a wider market for you. So be very flexible when it comes to having or how you can actually tackle marketing, this kind of risk, that is marketing risk. So when you're very flexible, you're able to work with what is thrown at you. So making sure that you maintain your flexibility always. The other way you can reduce this, and the other way you can actually reduce and avoid these high risk agribusinesses or type of agribusinesses is knowing your current market information. Do you know your market? Do you know your audience? If you know your audience, then there's no need of getting to that high risk kind of agribusiness. These people, they're going to come through for me. Even if it's so rough for all of us, I know there's a market that will be ready to partake or consume the commodities that I sell. The other way is using key business partners. Do you have a business partner? Or you're afraid of getting into contracts or partnership with people? It's one way to reduce the risk and avoid high risk, just avoiding the high risk kind of agribusiness. Remember, when you have a partnership, it's better to have like a loss of 50%, a profit of 50%, than a loss of 100%. When you're many, or when you've several as a business partnership, you can have that profit of 50-50. Everyone goes home happy. Instead of saying you want to do it solo and everyone goes home, you go by yourself home having 100% loss. So when you get into a key business partnership, it's better for you. When you get into business partnership, the lower the risk for you to have probably 100% kind of loss, going home with a loss or going home with an L of 100%. It's better to go home with a profit of 50% and slowly keeps on growing. And remember, we've talked about the risk, the impact of the risk being or having a soft landing. Even if you're in a business partnership, it not hit you as bad as that person or that farmer or that person who is in agribusiness who is doing it solo, because for him or her, you'll get 100% kind of impact. For you, you might get a soft landing because you have business partners. The other one is creating and following up your business plan. Remember, before you start any agribusiness, it's very important, very, very important to have a business plan ready. Always follow on it. And so the only way you reduce this kind of market risk is making sure that you have created it. First and foremost, create the business plan. Secondly, follow up on this business plan. That's the only way you're going to make it out, or actually reduce the risk of having, it's actually a tool, a management tool or a risk management tool when it comes to market risk. So making sure that you create a business plan before you get into any agribusiness or involve yourself in any agribusiness. And when you do that, after creating, making sure that you follow the plan to the letter. All right? Good. And so the other one on how you can actually shift risk to others, as we talked about, making sure you're having a bit of a soft landing, a bit of a soft landing when it comes to the risk that will be hitting you. And that one you can have joining cooperatives, if you don't have a business partners, or you don't have business partners, you can join cooperatives that are very many when it comes to agriculture sector. You can have that sharing of leases, purchasing crop insurance. As we said, the greater the coverage, the greater the premium. So as that, you have actually shifted the risk on you. Even if there's that crop invasion, we have the locust invasion on your crops. The shift, there'll be a shift of blame, or not you, but it will go directly to the crop insurance if you have insured your crops, to the cooperatives if you have invested in that cooperative, and all this. If you're sharing leases, it will be more of shifting the risk to other people who you actually invested on. I'm talking about crop insurance. You have paid the premium. When you have the joining the cooperatives, there's amount of money that you're paying to that cooperative every, probably annually or monthly, according to how you've planned with them, and having to share the lease. So those are some of the ways that you can shift this kind of risk to other people, and this is what we call a bit unfair, but it's good. It's just. It's unfair, but at the end of it all, justice is served, and it's just, but can be unfair in the eyes of human beings, but it's very, very, very just. And when you talk about maintaining flexibility, we're talking about timing of sales, purchasing of outputs and inputs, and also making sure that the placement where you can place, the placement of where you're having your purchases are being made, making sure that every time you're flexible with anything that goes along with you. You don't have to have a physical shop always. All right, when you're selling your produce, or when you're selling your crops, making sure you can work with your consumers. If they want it online, if they want deliveries, don't just say, no, we only do it on our physical shops. We can't do deliveries. We can't pay through cash. We only accept cash. We can't pay through mobile phones, mobile banking. We don't accept that. Try as much as possible to be flexible. That's the only way. Especially with this COVID-19, not everyone wants to work with cash around. So try mobile banking. Try paying through the phone, right? With the mobile networks that we have across this country. Be that flexible. If they want deliveries, if that's what is the new norm, the new vibe around, do that. Be part of that movement of the new vibe of making sure that you can do deliveries across the country, probably at a fee. If it's around you can do it as an extension or a gesture of customer services, that kind of thing. But the most important thing is making sure that you maintain your flexibility, you as a producer. Okay, and the other kind of risk, the third kind of risk that we'll talk about today, is what we call financial risk. And this results when the farm business borrows money and creates an obligation to repay debt, raising the interest rates, the prospects of a loan being called by lenders, and restricted credits availability are also aspect of financial risks. And so when it comes to financial risk, there can be so many attributes of financial risks, and the biggest attribute of financial risk is poor planning. When you don't have a business plan, you don't have a farm plan, you don't have a marketing plan, it will hit you big time when you don't plan yourself. Remember at the start, when you don't have a business plan, when it comes to doing getting into the farm, you don't have a farm plan. After you get your yields, you don't have a market plan. No planning. You just living a day at a time, and living by luck, sheer luck. At the end of it all, you will have financial risks, and it will be so big on you that can cause can also bring about health issues, talking about depression. So poor planning, you may be doing your planning, but how strategic is it? How good is your plan? Are you following up on your plan? So making sure that you don't have a poor plan or you don't fail to plan. It's more or less the same. So making sure that you have a plan in mind, or plan set to help you cover the financial risk. In that plan, have you included financial risk as part of the very many risks that your agribusiness can face? So if it's part of the plan, then again, we're talking about smooth. Yes, there's a loss that you'll get, but at least it will not hit you as big time as someone who has not planned at all or has done poor planning. So that's one aspect, or that's one attribute. Second attribute is failure to maintain control of the operations. You're not taking charge of what or the things that are running in your business. It comes to agribusiness, you're not following up on what is happening in the farm. If you're doing the packaging of the products, or how you're doing it when it comes to taking them to the market, you're not around. You're not managing any operations that are going through or are being done around your farm when you're doing the production, or in short, doing the pre-production, the production stage, and also the post-production. Pre-production in terms of what's supposed to be done, and the pre-production involves the business plan, the farm plan, and then the production stage is when now the produce is in the farm, getting your yields. The post-production is when the produce is you're getting the produce from the farm direct now to the market. That's what we call the post-production. Do we need to package this produce? How do we need to actually transport the produce? All this, maintaining the control of the operation. If you fail to do that, then at the end of the day, you'll be facing financial risk, despite of what you've been doing right in terms of having a business plan, having a farm plan, having a market plan, having all those plans, and following in terms of making sure that the pesticides that you're using, the seedlings that you're using, everything is in order. But if you don't maintain or be part of making sure that there's order when you're doing all these operations, or when these operations are being carried out, then you will be facing a financial risk. The third attribute for financial risk is what we call lack of financial understanding. And this, you don't have to go to any business school or financial school. You can just do it online. There are very many free online classes that you can get, or probably ask. It's as simple as asking. Just ask questions where you don't understand. Ask. Don't assume. Don't make any assumption that because my friend who is in the same business as I'm doing, he's rearing pigs, so he told me this is what he cashes in every month. So the same, I'll do the same, and this is how he has been doing things. Probably for him, he has been doing it through sheer luck. Do you ask questions, or do you assume because he did it, I will do it? I'm seeing what he's doing, then I'll do the same. So don't be driven by what you see from others. If you don't understand anything, if you don't know how to do to go around these things, it's good to ask. It's good actually to ask, what am I not doing right, or what is actually expected of me in terms of doing things right, so that I can understand what is needed of me when it comes to all this what we call the financial risk. What am I expected of me as a producer, or as someone who is in agribusiness, and to make it out there. Right? So when it comes to making sure that you're reducing your financial risk, or you're reducing anything to do with financial risk, ask. Just seek for advice, or seek for that basic knowledge when it comes to financial risk, so that at the end of it all, as we have said, you can get some soft landing when it comes to financial risk. When you come back after this short break, remember, it's all about some of the strategies that you can use, talking about how do you manage potential political risk? It's also part of the risk, especially right now we are gearing towards the electioneering period. It's good to understand what can be the cause of the political risk and how well can we manage this kind of risk. Remember, it's a potential risk, especially for this country, Kenya. We are nearing the electioneering period, that is the year 2022. How well can you manage this potential risk that we might be facing or might not be facing, but it's well to actually prepare before this comes. Remember, they always say prevention is always better than cure. And definitely we'll be back with the interesting conversation or the interesting segment of the Pan of the Day. All that after this short break.
Farmers is the home of Africa Farmers Club and by extension African farmers. The whole idea behind Farmers is to transform the image of an African farmer from a producer into an agripreneur, somebody who actually does not think about how to produce onions, but how much is going to be used to produce onions, and so that way then they can be able to transform their vision, they can be able to look at their farms as businesses, and they can be able to know when to engage with the market. What we have done is that we have developed a hub where farmers bring their information, bring their questions, their challenges, and other farmers are there to come out and help. Facebook has not just been instrumental, Facebook has been a working partner for myself as well. And Facebook has actually transformed the way we relate, an open platform. My background is in tech, and I know you cannot build a platform that can reach out to so many people. Initially it was just a few farmers in 2 counties, Machakos County and Kajiado counties, but now it has transformed. We have a stronger membership from Nigeria and Zambia than even Kenya itself, and the reason behind this is the messages I get from different farmers across Africa. And then something interesting came to my mind, and I thought about using the camera. Every time I visited farmers, I would be able to post in the community, in the group, in my own profile, and just share the story of the farmer that I visited. And then I asked myself, why wouldn't I get this information, develop it in a way that other people can be able to benefit? If we go for a training, how do we capture that so that those who are not, the farmers who are not able to come for that training can still benefit? And hence the birth of a farmers media. Our mission as an organization is to help farmers, African farmers, to attain knowledge and grow profits.
Are you a farmer facing challenges in your farm? Pests, diseases, or even unsatisfactory produce? Worry no more. The solution is here. Join us every Tuesday on Diagnostic Tuesday, where we talk about various issues affecting agriculture and interacting with experts with knowledge in different sectors of agriculture to provide you with appropriate solutions, giving hope to farmers to attain better yields, to achieve financial success and development. Our farmers attain knowledge and grow profits.
As we quickly progress from agriculture to agribusiness, market is key. Join us every Wednesday as we bring to you Market Watch, a show that covers candid discussions regarding the state of the market. Tune in and let's turn our farms into businesses.
Yeah, 6 minutes past 4 p.m. right here on Farmers Media. This is a Farm Drive show with me, Conrad Kibe, where we are always about three things only: connect, learn, and grow. And this is a home where we tell the story of an African farmer in the best way possible. And today's conversation being an Agribusiness Thursday, or just more of an Agribusiness Thursday, talking about risk management and successful risk management, and talking more of the risks and how we can manage those risks in their different forms. But in the meantime, it's katika kipindi cha Lala Salama, where we have the pan of the day. And definitely this week we have been focusing more on the dairy farmers, more of the cows and all this kind of pants. Remember, our pants are always about the agricultural based, farm based, anything to do with agriculture. You'll find it here. Any humor you want when it comes to having agriculture, the farm products, livestock, or anything to do with agriculture, the pans are always here. You can always tune in every Monday to Friday on the Farm Drive show to get the best pan of the day. And so today's pan, we are asking you, this country that is in Europe, it's called Russia. So Russia, I believe they consume milk, right? And they consume milk from cows. So what do you call a cow from Russia? What do you call a cow from Russia? And you can have that answer is there. A cow from Russia, we call it a mouse cow. I don't know if you get that pun. If you want to understand this pun, you can Google the capital city of Russia and you can have your answer there. So what do you call a cow from Russia? They call it a mouse cow. So that's the pun of the day of today. So remember to catch us tomorrow as we get another interesting pun for the day, kama kawaida, right here on the Farm Day Show with me, Conrad Kibe. And so to wind up this conversation of the successful risk management that we're supposed to be having, so that we can tackle any risk that comes our way when we are in agribusiness. The last one, or the second last that we can talk about, is a potential political risk. And remember, as a country, Kenya, we are gearing towards the electioneering period. That is in less than a year's time. If all things go as planned, then by August, we probably might be having a new government. We are getting to that point where the election mood, I know in Kenya they always say it's always almost 4 years, a cycle of 4 years, having the mood always, but right now gearing up towards less than 12 months to the elections, then the political heat is always increasing day by day. And so this heat is always affecting everyone. Every business, every industry is always affected by this heat. And agribusiness is not an exemption, or it's not excluded by being attacked or being affected by the political risk that comes across or come in when we are gearing towards that electioneering period. And we're in that point. And it's good to have this conversation right now because you need to understand, how will this affect my business? All right? And so in emerging markets, there is always a risk of political interference, not just having that mood being affecting you. There's always political interference in so many ways in business activities. And what this brings is what we call instability. And you can manage this with a lot of careful selection here and there. And, we have so many people that invest in so many things. As you as agribusiness person or preneur, what have you done? Or what are some of these things that you have prepared yourself to do as we are gearing towards that period? It's less than 12 months, remember. We get into that period. You don't need to be knocked down just because of voting that will happen in one day, and then what next? What's post-elections? Because after that, you'll need to continue their business. So what will make you, because at times it's out of our control as people in agribusiness or any other industry, because the level at which elections, especially in Africa, the level at which they are placed at heart by people is insane. So trying to control it by ourselves can be a bit next to impossible. But what can you do to avoid that risk or to reduce the risk? Remember, you're talking about the soft landing of the risk. The impact is not so much on you. Yes, it will be there, but what kind of impact? Is it is it a high impact or an impact that you can actually control or you will have seen before? And so some of these things you can have being in active, demonstrating a commitment to the local national government in terms of having a discussion with them, planning with them when it comes to the critical matters, and having a long-term sustainable business relationship, either with the local government or the government in place at that particular point. Having this conversation, you can have this conversation with them, and you as agribusiness, people in agribusiness, you can have these conversations, sit down, have the conversations with the local government and tell them, you know what, we know we are getting to that period, but we don't want to interfere with your politics, and we don't want more of our interference with our businesses. So how can we work together to make sure we are working together, but no one is interfering with the other's business? We as agribusiness, we in the sector of agribusiness, we are not interfering with your political movement or your political goals or ambitions. And at the same time, you in the political sector are not interfering with us on the other side of the agribusiness sector. So maintaining that long-term kind of suitable relationship with the local government or the government in place at that particular point can be very, very can be something that can work. And also making sure that because most people, especially from the foreign governments, can right now we know so many foreign governments have invested in this country in terms of agribusiness. So making sure those are some of the plans that you have in place before they need to understand what kind of tension is always there, what kind of mood is always there when it comes to the political kind of times. So making sure that it's a potential political risk. We're not saying that it will be there, but it's good to plan. Remember, prevention is better than cure. So having these conversations and being ready for them, so that if any case they happen, unfortunately, then you'll know what next. All right, not being caught off guard, just knowing if this happens, then this is the kind of approach I will take when it comes to a potential political risk. It's part of a risk. It's not always there because, you know, depends on how the cycle of elections happen in your country and especially this continent of Africa. And so lastly, talking about how you can ensure that the projected yields are realized. You know, when you're having the projected yields, remember you have your market plan ready, you have everything ready for you. You know, the yields are there. You've projected that I'm going to be having an amazing profit this time round. So how can you make that possible for you? You have everything in place. Talking about the business plan, the farm plan, you followed everything to the letter. You have the market plan ready, and now it's all about the profits coming back to you. So how can you make this a possible realization for you? So agricultural projects by their nature are subject to very many risks, and this we are talking about weather. Remember, you can have everything in place, but the weather can come to mess up with the weather patterns. Especially now we are talking about having sort of a drought in the coming months of October till December. We are not going to be having or experiencing that rainfall we always desire to have at that period, and so this can result to either famine, drought, floods, and this time round you're talking about famine or drought. That is a drought, sorry. We can have pests and diseases. These are uncalled for. These are natural causes or calamities that can reduce crop failure. So remember, you can have your business plan ready, your farm plan ready, market plan, everything in place. But now these natural risks or natural calamities come through weather patterns, disoriented weather patterns, talking about pests, diseases, all these things can come and actually reduce your crop failure. So how can you manage these risks as someone who has invested in agribusiness? One is avoiding dependency on rain-fed agriculture. We talked about having alternatives, drips, pivot, micro spray technology. Have you invested in all this? Instead of just, for example, for those who will be actually depending on the rainfall or have always depended on the rainfall from the month of October to December. What alternatives do you have right now to make sure that the weather patterns or the different weather patterns will not affect your yields at the end of, especially watu wa maembe? What other alternatives do you have to make sure that we have mangoes come December, January? Because right now the president announced yesterday we'll be having, and together with Kenya Met department have announced the weather or the rainfall that we always expect from the month of October to December will be depressing kind of it, quote unquote. And so what other alternatives do you have if you're expecting the rainfall? Will you think of doing drip irrigation? What other alternatives do you have? So these are some of the ways that you can use to make sure that at the end of it all, despite all these risks, that your project yields are being realized. Secondly is design and management of project using the best practices on the farms. Use the best practices that are there. All right. The same example you're giving, what we have right now, we can't work with depending on the rainfall. What best practices or what best alternative do you have in the farm at that particular time? And this is where your management skills come in, your marketing skills, all skills that you have, especially the management, making sure that you are in control of the operations, because things are now not normal in terms of depending on the rainfall. So what is there? Alternatives. Making sure for these alternatives to be used in the best way possible, that you're being part of these operations, to make sure that at the end, after the yields are there, they're being realized and the profits for you're going home and having a situation of a win-win situation for the consumers, especially those who consume mangoes, especially during December, January. They're going home as winners. They're saying, despite having that kind of weather pattern, we still have the mangoes. And for you, as a farmer, as a producer, you still have your profits intact to brace yourself for what we always call January, right? The third key thing that we can do to manage this risk is actually working closely with local communities to improve their distribution efficiency of production. So what to the southern part of this, the eastern region, especially Watu Kambani, what are you doing? Are you working with your local community now to say, you know what, it's going to be a rough patch for us from October to December, but there are people out there who are expecting to consume these mangoes come late towards December, January. So how can we work together to make not just having a large number of people working together, but this number that the number of people that are going to work on this project, or this making sure that the mangoes get to the market, or what we have gets to the market, and everyone goes home happy. How are we going to work together as a community? And not just working together, making sure that the work that you're doing is efficient. At the end, it will actually project or raise your yields at the end of what you're looking for. Remember, the objective of all this is for everyone to go home happy. A win-win situation. You win as a producer, they win as local community, because we all working together, and also the consumers win. They're getting, probably they're satisfying their cravings. They've been waiting for this commodity or this produce for a very long time, for almost a year. So they'll go home happy, saying, at least finally, we've gotten the mangoes, right? And you as a farmer, you'll get your profits. And as I've said, you'll brace yourself for the January that always comes. I don't know if it's just a perception, but it's something that is there, that is always there. Every start of the year, after watu have had enough of the festive season, January always comes along. So how are we going to make to actually minimize the risk, or making sure that the yields are actually projected when it comes to January, February? Making sure that you work closely with the community, talk to them. What can we do? You know, if you are a person who has been depending on the rain, do you have someone in your area, in your community, that you can work closely with? You know, come up with an agreement that, you know, you can help with water. You have a borehole, I don't. I always depend on the rainfall. Now this is happening, natural calamities. How can you work together to make the distribution of everything and the production efficient? Okay, and lastly, select a use of insurance products on crop and products. We've talked about crop insurances. Just get online. At the moment, we don't have any partnership with any insurance. So just get online, get to understand which is the best crop insurance agency that you can work with. And remember, the greater the coverage, the greater the premium, especially with this news that we have received of having quote-unquote depressed rainfall in the months of October, November, and December. What are you going to do with with that news. All right, making sure that, do I get to a crop insurance in case all this fails? At least I'll be on the safe side. I don't know how timely that is, but this is for the future reference. All right. Yeah, so those are some of the successful risk management that you can be having as an someone who has invested in agribusiness. This can really help you when you continue to do your businesses. Remember, risk is always there, but what actually helps you is how well is your risk calculated. All right, how well do you understand your risk, and do I have the tools necessary in case anything comes my way? Am I ready to tackle all these risks? Okay, so when you come back after this short break, it's all about the traffic updates and what is happening on the road. But in the meantime, we have these are some of the contacts that you can contact us right here on Our Farmers. If you have any question regarding probably this topic or any other topic we have ever had on this show, or you have any other question, especially we always insist on soil testing. If you're a new farmer, you've never done anything to do with your farm, you don't know anything, you've never just being involved in any farming activity, you know nothing. If you're looking for agronomist, if you're looking for support, farm support, if you're looking for anything to do with agricultural activities, I will be giving you the contacts after this short break so that you can contact us on all our social media platforms, and the number that will be on your screen will be giving you that and much more just after this short break. So let's take this short break. We come back, tackle the traffic updates, what is happening on the major roads on the CBD, and definitely giving you the contact the contacts and how you can get to talk to us. Not just from on social media and not just our social media platforms, but also our telephone numbers, our telephone lines that you can get in touch with us and ask any question, and we'll be there to tackle all your issues that you'll be having. But all that after this short break. Yes, it's 2 minutes shy of 4:30 p.m. right here on Farmers Media. This is the Farm Drive Show with me, Conrad Kibe, and we are about to wind up this show. But just to give you, to keep you updated on what's happening on the roads, and cyclists along Langata Road have been being informed there are several of them. So make sure if you're a driver using that road, keep be careful of the speed that you use, and definitely make sure that you actually you are watching out for the cyclists, because naambiwa ni wengi sana along Langata Road and also Uhuru Highway. They're saying the guys around that place have said they have been there for over 1.5 hours, and the jam is or the traffic is not moving at all. And definitely watu wa Mombasa Road, it's the same thing. It's always the same thing along all the way to Syokimau. It's not looking so good, and definitely around Imara Daima, crossing all the way to Nyao Stadium, not looking so good. So if you're in that roads, making sure that you are actually being safe on the roads. And at Muguga along the new superhighway, there's a bit of an accident there, so make sure that you take caution as you're using that place, that is Muguga along the new superhighway. So make sure that you are doing what is expected of you or required of you, making sure that you're following the guidelines of or the traffic rules to the par. And definitely leo, at least watu wa Ngong Road, there's no traffic around that place. I don't know what was happening yesterday, but today it's as clear as a day. All right, and so make sure that you are safe on these roads. Make sure that let's be generous, let's be kind to one another on these roads. Everyone is trying to go especially right now, it's 4:30. Everyone is trying to go home. Others are trying to rush to work. Let's be a bit generous and mindful of each other on these roads. Tupishane njia, tupatiane njia kwa hizi barabara, so that everyone goes home. Remember, we have curfew. Everyone is trying to beat the curfew. Everyone, people are tired from working, so let's make sure that we are mindful of one another on these roads of ours. So to the contacts that will be, you can actually connect with us on all our social media platforms. Remember, you can connect with us on social media platforms, that is at Farmers on Facebook, at Farmers on Twitter, at Farmers Media on YouTube. But also, if you're looking for soil testing, if you want to know something about soil testing, you probably don't know how to do it, you don't know where to do it, or you don't know who to contact to do it, we are here. If you want agronomy support and training, farm plan and irrigation system, you don't know how to do your farm planning, you know nothing about it, especially for the new farmers, or you have been an experienced farmer and you don't know how to do these things. Farm management, how to manage your farm, marketing linkage, uko na kila kitu kwa shamba yako but you don't have a market, we are here to link you with all these things. That is soil testing, agronomy support and training, farm plan and irrigation system, farm management and market linkage. Usikwame, don't be going through issues, don't be struggling and yet